This is just a short introduction into the Industrial Revolution, since most of what we'll be doing with this topic will be in those group projects that you already have assigned. So, Britain leads the way in the Industrial Revolution, though it does spread to the rest of Europe and also to America. But the advancements in agriculture in Britain allow for industrialization to really take form. And the thing is that new methods in agriculture led to more crops being grown, so that then there were lower prices. And then people had enough money to buy food and then also have spending money that they could spend on manufactured goods. And this brings in the factory system. The factory system began in the 1770s and was first used for textiles, which are cotton and linen. Cotton goods are cheaper than other goods, and clothing was a huge thing that was made by cotton. For a long time, only the wealthy could afford clean clothes, but now millions of poor people could wear clean cotton clothes because cotton is an easy material to clean. The problem was that there were really harsh working conditions in these factory systems. There was a lot of child labor because others didn't want to work in the factories. And so a lot of abandoned children were sent to work in the factories. And children were used because there were a lot of places within the factory that adults who had become fully grown could not reach into tight spaces or grab the gears that children with small arms and hands could get to. But also with the harsh working conditions, they worked a lot of hours because there were not labor laws, and they were treated very poorly by factory owners. The conditions were dirty, hot, and dark, and so it was just a very hard workplace atmosphere. But industrialization also brought the railroads, which caused a ripple effect in the economy. It provided new jobs for farm laborers and also for peasants. And unskilled laborers, so people who didn't need to be trained at that particular task, could find work in the railroads. And the railroads allowed them to transport goods to other parts of Europe. This created a larger market to sell goods. So what that means is that the previous markets were small and local. The only place that you would sell your goods would be the neighboring towns. But railroads allowed you to send it to places all over Europe. So it would expand the area that you could sell your products. It also reduced the cost of shipping because it would get there faster. And because it reduced the cost of shipping, you would have more money that you could use to make more products. So that, combined with the larger markets, allowed people to have larger factories to make more goods. So, as you can see by both the factory system and railroads, there are both good and bad sides to industrialization. And this also leads to early socialism. Because of how much workers suffered during the industrialization process, socialism starts coming up. The reformers who started early socialism opposed the capitalist system because it was unregulated, and so they advocated for socialism. And socialism is when society, and usually the government, owns and controls some means of production, such as the factory system. So this is otherwise known as public ownership of the means of production. And what would happen with socialism would be that the government would be able to regulate the factory system and would be able to distribute wealth to all people. This distribution would not necessarily be equal among all the different groups of people, but it would make sure that everyone got some of the money. For the rest of the topics that deal with the Industrial Revolution, we'll look to our group projects to get all the answers.